Hello and welcome to the session on professional education. Education is an institution and process through which society organizes itself to shape. It is the most powerful weapon that can be used to change the world. Education is integrally linked with the development process of a country. Economic growth and social development of any country is invariably associated with large and sustained investments in education and training. This is applicable to all the levels of education, that is, from the lower primary level through graduate level. The main aim of education is not only to educate a person, it should help him to become self-dependent and help him take decisions logically and knowledgeably. The ability to just read and write does not fulfill the aim of education. A truly educated person is one who can use his education to be self-supportive. India is the land of contradictions and diversities. It is possible to resolve the economic contradictions of the country by achieving a rapid rate of economic growth through educating its people. India over the years has been an unusual amount of tension and problems over education at all levels. India's higher education system is the third largest in the world, the first being United States and China. India has developed a university education system with more than 200 universities. It has expanded at a fast pace by adding nearly 20,000 colleges and more than 8 million students in a decade from 2000 to 2010. Even today, India produces the largest number of graduates. The objectives of higher education are to promote welfare of individuals as to strengthen the nation. School education is now relegated to a position of preparing the child for future life, including access to higher education. There are several scholarly studies on higher education in India. In the case of higher education, professional education plays a significant role in the Indian society. The reason for this is that nowadays the career market has become extremely competitive. Professional education is also known as vocational education, and they are interchangeably used in the country. There is no clear definition to professional education. Any education or any kind of training imparted to students to occupy an identified profession was called as professional education. It is the education of different levels by means of which people qualify for a certain profession or specialty. The main aim of professional education is to train people for suitable jobs, taking into account the service conditions, the opportunities, the rewards and special abilities required on one hand, and abilities, aptitude, minimum requirements, physical and emotional aspects of an individual on the other. Professional education has occupied a dominant position in independent India since it was perceived as a promoter of economic growth, technological development, and also as an instrument of equal opportunity and upward social mobility. In India, professional education is imparted through institutions which are affiliated to the universities. There were several professional bodies that were originally involved to maintain standards of practice like Bar Council, Medical Council, etc., which are now institutionalized and recognized by the Government of India. Historical background. Professional education in India has a very long history. Professional education has now become India's super infrastructure. Professional education in India was quite prevalent in ancient India and had been evolved over a period of time, but appears to be in crisis today. Education was neither an economic problem nor a purely an educational issue. It was a social enigma. Even the British during their rule in India introduced professional education to impart training to occupy secular professions like medical doctor, engineer, etc. The Indian education system was influenced by the policy of East India Company. In the history of modern Indian education, It is clear that the East India Company needed some Indian clerks and officials for various departments in order to manage their affairs. The company stood in the need of doctors for army, judges and pleaders for courts. The occupational structure in our country was closely related to the Varna system, which meant that certain profession could be done only by the elite group or the privileged class of society. Vocational education in those times was transmitted as a part of family education from one generation to another. Therefore, certain professions like that of doctors, engineers, nurses, etc. were not available to other people who were not born into a particular caste that was demarcated to practice that profession. For example, the social group of Vaidyas was the ones who practiced medicine for the elite, whereas for the lower communities and tribals, the social group called Shudras practiced health care. It was during the British rule that some of the occupations got separated from the system and emerged as secular professions. The post-independent public education was almost a continuation of the colonial mode of liberal education. In India, all secular occupations that were introduced by the British and the corresponding education given was called as professional education. The academic degrees offered to occupy these professions followed the one that was designed by the British. After making these professions secular by the British, these have lost their touch with the society with which there used to be an organic relationship. Professional education in India. Every country has its own system of professional education, each differing in the type of universities and institutions, the duration of teaching, courses offered, etc. Every country is thus characterized by their educational structure. In a country where education has to satisfy the educational demands of the individual, there is large proportion of graduates in the humanities and social sciences. In a country where the education system is an element of system of production, there is greater proportion of graduates in the natural and technical sciences. Professional education played an important role worldwide in the last decades of the 20th century. Nowadays, there is an explosion of knowledge due to unprecedented advancements in the field of science and technology. New knowledge has been discovered in each subject. The scientific and technical revolution has led to differentiation of knowledge and created new demands for engineers and scientists. Even the social and political changes in the country led to changes in professional education. India possesses a highly developed higher education, especially professional education system, which offers facility of education and training in almost all aspects of human creative and intellectual endeavors like engineering, medicine, law, accountancy, architecture, pharmacy, etc. In our country, pure science, law and medicine are consistently ranked high among professional education. Medical education. India is a fast developing economy where people aspire for better health and fortunes. The medical or healthcare industry is large. Medical careers are good paying, fast growing and in demand. Modern medical education was first introduced in India in Bengal, Bombay and Madras. Later, British rules keeping the entire educational policy in view introduced European medical system, which could be learned only through the medium of English. In 1844, Indian students were sent to England for acquiring knowledge in the Western system of medicine. The trained doctors were employed by the British in the government and municipal board hospital or in some big companies or factories. By 1902, medical colleges were established in Calcutta, Madras, Bombay and Lahore. Some medical schools were also set up. It was during the mid-20th century that medical science in India marked progress. To produce competent physician or any kind of support staff like nurse, dentist, dental hygienist, physical therapist, radiologist, laboratory technician, radiation therapist, chiropractor, diagnostic medical sonographers, dietitians and nutritionists, medical transcriptionists, occupational health and safety specialist, optometrist, pharmacy technician, etc. related to healthcare, there have been many medical colleges and other colleges started to take care of medical education in India. Later, the Medical Council Act was passed in 1933 and the Indian Medical Council was founded. Medical Council of India or MCI is the regulatory body set up for monitoring the standards of medical education, promoting, training and research activities. It is a statutory body for establishing uniform and high standards of medical education in India. Legal education. The most popular system of government is democratic. The backbone of every democracy is its judicial system, which is connected with legal education, which determines its standard and efficiency. Legal education plays a vital role in the maintenance of rule of law. The term legal education is difficult to define since it gives different meanings at different times and places in the light of existing circumstances of the society. Advocacy is a profession and not just an occupation to make money. Legal education has to crusade against injustice and exploitation and at the same time assist in promoting change and development in law to benefit the poor and deprived. Legal education is a human science which furnishes beyond techniques, skills and competences the basic philosophies, ideologies, critics and instrumentalities all addressed to the creation and maintenance of a just society. Law education not merely includes the profession which is practiced in courts, but also covers law teaching, law research, administration in different branches where law plays a role. In the history of professional education, legal education plays a very important role. Legal system in India is the natural outcome of its deep roots in ancient Indian tradition. It has existed in our country from the dawn of Aryan civilization. The Britishers had established Calcutta Madrasa and Sanskrit College for legal education pertaining to main Indian races, namely Hindus and Muslims. The pattern of legal education now prevalent in the country is that introduced by the British. The first professorship of law was established in Bombay at the Elephantine College in 1866. Universities were established in the cities of Calcutta, Madras and Bombay to impart formal legal education. Legal education was introduced in its rudimentary form with hardly any standards and qualifications prescribed for admission. After independence, legal education acquired importance as rule of law became fundamental doctrine for the governance of the country. Numerous committees were established periodically to consider and propose reforms in legal education after independence. Legal education was investigated into several commissions and committees such as Calcutta University Commission 1917-19, the University Commission 1948-49, the Bombay Legal Education Committee 1949, All India Bar Committee 1953 and the Rajasthan Legal Education Committee 1955. All of the above committees recommended that prevailing system of legal education in the country required improvement in various directions. The Bar Council of India has the power to fix a minimum academic standard as a precondition for commencement of studies in law. Technical education. The greatest challenge for education is to meet the needs of the society. The progressive countries have made tremendous progress through the development of science and technology. Technical education thus has supreme importance in the modern times. It emphasizes on learning of techniques as technical procedure and necessary skills and aims at preparing technicians usually above the secondary level. Technical education in India has grown under the pressure of necessity along various lines including industrial, engineering and technological training. India was known for the superior quality of its science and technology in ancient times. The education system of the 18th century was influenced by the policy of East India Company. At that time, the company needed some Indian clerks and officials for various departments. The company stood in the need of engineers for constructing roads, canals and government buildings. In 1824, the Native Society of Bombay had opened classes in engineering. Engineering classes had started at the Elphinstone Institute in 1844 and Pune in 1854. After that, the enthusiasm in favor of technical education started steadily rising in the country. After independence, the importance of technical education was realized even well. The All India Council for Technical Education, set up in 1947, had appointed a technical manpower committee in order to find out the number of technically trained persons needed in the country. In May 1971, the Government of India created a new Department of Science and Technology under the Ministry of Planning. Crisis in professional education. During the past centuries of its unrecorded and recorded history, India was conscious of the fact that the health education of today will determine the patterns of health care of tomorrow. An exploding number of medical colleges all over the country, a skewed distribution of the medical institutions, alarming shortage of teachers, recruitment of untrained teachers, increase in the capitation fee, devaluation of merit in admissions, poorly implemented regulations related to admissions, admission of substandard students with poor motivation, poor internship supervision of the students, gross shortage of patients, outdated curriculum, meager knowledge of teaching, learning, technology, etc. contribute to the collapse of medical system in India. Medical education in India is sliding downwards, and unless quick and strong measures are taken immediately to correct the ills plaguing the system, backed by strong political will, reversing its present direction would be impossible. But in a country vast like India, with its ever increasing population and a limited range of resources available to tackle its problems, to find a solution and practically making it happen is a bit difficult. The society is growing more and more complex. The present day legal education need to meet the requirements of the modern society. Technology has posed enormous challenge to the earlier system of law and justice. The age-old practices and tactics are not more relevant now. So, legal education has to deal with the problems of diverse magnitudes, and a student of law and advocate has to be trained in professional skills to meet the challenges of globalization and universalization of law. Legal education should aim at furnishing skills and competence, the basic philosophies and ideologies for creation and maintenance of a just society. Legal education, in a sense, has become mass education rather than a specialized training. The decline in the prestige and image of this profession should be a matter of great concern to all those who are connected with the legal system. Every system of legal education which is designed to achieve ultimate objective of preparing persons for a legal career must not only aim at preparing for good legal practitioners who will function in court of law, but must also impart legal skills and equipment to men who want to specialize in various job opportunities. The prime aim of legal education should be to transmit to the rising generation the accumulated knowledge about management of legal process. It is important to analyze whether legal education system in India has succeeded in imparting training to the students of law effectively to their satisfaction and enable them to join the bar with spirit of confidence. The most encouraging advance in education field in India during the last decades has been in the field of technical education. Technical education in India suffers a lot due to a lot of problems. The first is the unsuitable curriculum of the course. It is important in the modern progressive society to be in touch with the latest advancements, for which the course should avoid curriculum of primitive nature. There is also need for constant expansion and improvement of institutions that provide technical education. There is also a dearth of properly qualified and trained teachers in technical institutions. Moreover, there is lack of facilities of research for technical students in India. The lack of cooperation and coordination between government, industry and education institutions is another important problem. Thus, India's technical education has to be planned in such a way as to meet the needs of the individuals and those of the nation. If India wants to develop its technical education system, we must go ahead to remove the causes of slow progress. Conclusion. The purpose of education is to gain the knowledge and skills necessary to make informed and reasonable decisions. A well-rounded education, including knowledge of the self as well as knowledge of the world, should enable a person to use the full capacity of his body, mind and spirit. Education is an easy target for criticism because its stated aims are often so nobly ambitious that they have little chance of being realized. The education system of today is being challenged more than ever before. Knowledge is a very important source of India's competitiveness. India's ability to tap this would depend on how well education is institutionalized. We are now living in the modern age of science where technology is found in every aspect. Globalization has affected not only the market economy of the nation, but the whole system of education. The imperatives of economic and technological development have to pursue sustainable human development in which economic growth shall serve social development and ensure environmental sustainability. The professional education produces professionals for all types of industries, and it is true that progress of any country would depend on this. Today's employers also seek to find the best trained individuals not only with work experience but an education as well. Today, women are also showing great interest in professional education like medicine, engineering and technology. Hence, it is sacred duty of the rulers of the country to provide adequate opportunities for professional education of women in order that they may also contribute to the national prosperity. It is high time that we identify the areas of default in the professional education system and initiate corrective action to repair damage before it is too late. Colleges must implement new teaching approaches and offer specialized degrees now to prepare students for the needs of employers in the information technology age. Let me summarize what we have discussed so far. India is a land of contradictions and diversities. It is possible to resolve the economic contradictions of the country by achieving a rapid rate of economic growth through educating its people. In the case of higher education, professional education plays a significant role in the Indian society. The reason for this is that nowadays the career market has become extremely competitive. The main aim of professional education is to train people for suitable jobs, taking into account the service conditions, the opportunities, the rewards and special abilities required on one hand and abilities, aptitude, minimum requirements, physical and emotional aspects of an individual on the other. Professional education has occupied a dominant position in independent India since it was perceived as a promoter of economic growth, technological development and also as an instrument of equal opportunity and upward social mobility. India possesses a highly developed higher education, especially professional education system, which offers facility of education and training in almost all aspects of human creative and intellectual endeavors like engineering, medicine, law, accountancy, architecture, pharmacy, etc. In our country, pure science, law and medicine are consistently ranked high among professional education. Now, you can try to answer the questions given here. Define professional education. How does professional education contribute to the economic growth of the country? Name some of the commissions and committees which were appointed to investigate into the legal education in India. What did the committees recommend? What is the main professional education courses provided to the students in India? What are the crises in medical education in India? What changes in legal education in India should be made to meet the requirements of the modern society? Hope that you may go through these books for reference. Higher Education in India, Development and Problems, written by Dekha B., published by Atlantic Publishers and Distributors in the year 2000. Deconstructing Higher Education Reforms in India, written by Chalam K.S., published by Khan Publishing House, New Delhi in the year 2011. History of Legal Education, written by Sushma Gupta, published by Deep & Deep Publications Private Limited, New Delhi in the year 2006. Unleashing India, the Fire of Knowledge, written by Veerappa Moili M., published by Rupa Publications India Private Limited, New Delhi in the year 2012. Thank you for watching this program. We can meet again with another topic. Take care.